Massive news is broken in the alternative real free press. High level FDA whistleblowers coming forward about the cover-up of autism that they've known for decades is being triggered in great part. It's a cocktail of reasons, but in great part by autoimmune responses caused by vaccines and autoimmune disorders then being created in the brain and the gut of children and a scourge of neurological disorders. John Rappaport will join us for about 40 minutes, 20 minutes into the transmission in the second hour. Then we're going to have Joe Biggs from El Paso. He's got a lot of big breaking news dealing with the Homeland Security saying that they believe there is an imminent threat being planned and that an attack will take place. They said that last Friday and again on Sunday in and around El Paso, the Fort Bliss, Joint Task Force 6 area. I want to be clear. I'm the guy that exposes false flag. I'm the guy that officially began questioning 9/11 on the day of the event. I see comments on InfoWars saying, you know, Alex, why are you saying there could be a real ISIS threat? Why are, you know, it's going to be a hoax, going to be a false flag? It is a false flag because ISIS has been empowered and funded by NATO and Homeland Security, and they'll use an attack to take our liberties. It does not mean there aren't jihadi nutballs that are coming to attack us. See, the media always spins it that a false flag means it's totally staged by the government. No. Elements of the government can fund terrorists and then let them attack. That's what most false flags are, is opening the door, letting it happen. Look at how the British government was in the news 2 days ago. It's going to, quote, retrain the jihadis coming back from Syria because huge amounts of them, tens of thousands, have come out of England. They're allowed to fly in and out. They're allowed to have Twitter and Facebook accounts. They are being protected. They're being protected here. It's in the news today in my stack that radical Islamist terrorists are using the open borders and the open visa program. You can get a visa basically from any country in the world, just come here and never leave. And and we are being infiltrated by people that are planning to blow stuff up. And it will be used to set up checkpoints at malls and everywhere else for the American people. So I'm against it, and it is a false flag. Any way you cut it, any way you slice it, any way you dice it. Any way. Yes, it's staged. But yes, folks, it could be a real attack, and it could be bad. They've got 15,000 Stinger-type IMPADs, surface-to-air missiles. I can just see the takedown of this country, how they're going to do it. I cannot believe this. It's just, they destroyed the borders. They're destroying the dollar. They're launching all these illegal wars. They've turned al-Qaeda loose. The news is criticizing Senator Rand Paul because he's been anti-interventionist. Acting like, ooh, you're discredited, Rand. You were against attacking Syria. And look, now ISIS is running wild. Our government armed ISIS to destabilize Syria. Rand Paul was the one that criticized it. He's the one proven correct. But they turn it around and spin it. It's like, ooh, Matt Drudge, you're discredited. You said that there's a $5,000 fine if you don't get Obamacare. When there is a $5,000 fine. It's like, oh, you know, Rand Paul's discredited. He was proven completely right. And they just flip it around in the media like, see, Rand, we should have attacked Syria. What, on the side of al-Qaeda? That's why al-Qaeda is now ISIS and running wild all over the world? I mean, it is just, the public has none of the basics.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Joe Biggs and our crew are down on the Texas border where Homeland Security is saying they believe an imminent, credible threat of a ISIS al-Qaeda attack will happen on or before September 11th in and around the Joint Task Force 6 military command center based outside El Paso. And And we have Joe Biggs with huge breaking inside intel joining us in the third hour today. There's also major whistleblowers from inside the government going public that there has been an ongoing cover-up at the CDC and the FDA that vaccines are indeed one of the big factors triggering the huge upsurge from 1 in 25,000 30 years ago to now 1 in 56 North American children developing neurological disorders in the autism spectrum. Now, if you'll remember, back in 2000, it was leaked in 2004, there was a secret CDC meeting, and the minutes were released with the director and all the top scientists, more than 50 of them in the room, concluding that it is triggering autoimmune disorder in the brain and that it is literally causing a giant problem and that they should not give it to their families. And the CDC director said, I will tell my granddaughter not to give it to my children, my grandchildren. I will tell my daughter not to give it to my grandchildren. That was even on ABC News at the time. So this stuff's come out before. Then they'll run hoaxes saying, Dr. Wakefield discredited with fake research in England, linking it to this. And then the media all says he's discredited and that he was caught, and then he now suing and basically winning that lawsuit, proving that it was all a fraud. They could come out with a hoax tomorrow claiming that I robbed banks, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to be true. Or that I said kill Michelle Malkin. Turned out that wasn't true. Or that I was behind the Boston bombing. They've said that before with no proof. Or that I'm deeply racist. Or blah, blah, blah. Or that I've died. Or that I'm in a sex tape. Or that I'm not really who I say I am. This is the type of stuff they do to anybody who they don't like. They had Democrats twice dress up like Klan members and show up at Rand Paul rallies when he was winning his Senate race. And then we and others went and searched their faces. They had their faces open and found through Google image search that they were Democratic Party officials, low-level minions. And they do this all the time. I'm just saying, people have got to be aware of these dirty tricks. People have got to be aware of the type of stunts that get pulled out there. Now, where to start today? There is just so much to go through. I love how all over CNN and MSNBC, there's a full court press to get demonstrations going all over the United States today, promoting $15 an hour minimum wage. And Kurt Nimmo has the headline at Infowars.com, fight for $15 minimum wage is a fight for compulsory unemployment. That's absolutely true if you understand the economics. Kurt Nimmo breaks it down. The article just went live minutes ago at Infowars.com. The globalists bring in unlimited, undocumented illegal aliens. We've got major studies out today showing that they got the majority of new jobs. In some states, all the new jobs, like Tennessee. And that they will then work for illegal, below minimum wage levels, get welfare supplement, and that then drives down wages overall, but also taxes the welfare system. So you've got the Democrats and the unions openly lobbying for unlimited illegals to come in to drive down the wages. And then they complain and say, let's raise the wages compulsory, which will only cause layoffs of people who are working legally and lawfully in the system with benefits. Because I want to explain something to people that don't employ. When you pay someone $15 an hour, when you pay the FICA and the Social Security and the payroll taxes and all of it, on average, it's higher in some states, but I'm in Texas. If somebody's paid $15 an hour, you're really paying them about $22 an hour. If somebody's getting paid $20 an hour, you're basically paying them $29 an hour. So you cannot afford in this economy, in many operations out there, to pay someone $15 because it's really 20-something. And that's not even adding in all the other regulations and taxes. Notice that Obamacare raises payroll taxes. Notice that Obamacare puts huge taxes on businesses and has caused giant waves of layoffs. Notice Obamacare makes you get people health care if they have more than 30 hours. So across the nation, we saw a massive increase in people going to part-time. So then they went out and got multiple jobs, which they count as new jobs, and then try to say, oh, look, we've added 20 million new jobs. No, you've actually cut people, so they had to go get a second or third job. So when you know the real economics, it's a total screw job on working poor, which is designed to make you just go ahead and give up and go get on welfare or disability. Because you can get a better deal there than working. And then you add all the county and city and health taxes and regulations and VATs and sales taxes and environmental taxes. It is unbelievable that the average business owner in Texas pays around 70% one way or another into taxes. You go to somewhere like New York, it's over 80%. San Francisco, over 80%. Unless you're a fat cat, like Nancy Pelosi that owns restaurants and hotels all over California, they literally write bills federally and at the state level exempting themselves from everything. Warren Buffett is exempt from basically everything. Nancy Pelosi exempt basically from everything. Al Gore exempt. General Electric, Google exempt. Lehman Brothers exempt. Wells Fargo exempt. Bank of America, exempt. General Motors, exempt. Exempt, 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 exempt. They don't play by the same rules. That's the real discrimination. Cultural discrimination, they hype up all day. Racial stuff, because the globalists just want us fighting with each other. And sure, there's some racial issues going on out there and religious issues. There always has been. People are tribal, people getting clicks, big deal, grow up, get over it. But the big discrimination that you can't get around is the globalists write the laws for high taxes on the little guy because they don't want competition. And that's why I harp on that every single day. Obama is allowed to get about a third or more of his donations that come out in the news from foreign illegal donors and publicly have foreign fundraisers with foreigners attending, paying $20,000 a plate. Obama is allowed to have them on MSNBC lobbying to have illegals give money to the Democratic Party and give illegals driver's license. And meanwhile, Dinesh D'Souza, headline Reuters, humiliated Dinesh D'Souza seeks probation after guilty plea for getting friends to give $10,000 each to a senatorial campaign of a friend. That's right. So again, think about how all this operates. He's not exempt from the campaign finance laws. You understand that? And see, if you can exempt yourself from the regulations you put on others, you put everyone else at a disadvantage. You've rigged the game like a Don King boxing match, like a mafia-run horse race. And that's the end of a free market. That's the end of prosperity. And that's our biggest enemy in this country, is the elites have gamed the whole system. And now they've got all these fools out there wanting to raise the minimum wage from $8 or whatever it is up to 15, doubling it. And all that'll do is cut the unemployment. It'll cut the people that are working and put more people into unemployment. It'll bankrupt the system further. And it will also cause more inflation. And, of course, at some point, you're going to have to say that, you know, you have to raise the wages just by the market factors, because the dollar's being devalued so much, you're going to need $15 an hour just to survive if you pay the taxes, if you jump through all the hoops. But the average working poor person has all the taxes hidden in the bills and the things they pay, and they get a little $200 refund check at the end of the year, and they think the government's sending them money. the elite loves to game the poor while trying to destroy any upwardly mobile nouveau riche. Alex Jones here with a message to fellow freedom lovers. The prognosis for the entire planetary economic system runs from bad to worse. The globalist model is to shut down societies and starve patriots out until they acquiesce to the global takeover. That's why we've assembled the most vital and important preparedness items at InfoWarsShop.com. These are items that I did research on, that I personally use. You've got the Life Straw, so you can turn fetid water into safe water anywhere you go. The K-Tor hand crank generator to charge up key equipment during power outages or out in the field. Strategic Relocation, 3rd edition by Joel Skousen. When Disaster Strikes by Matthew Stein. ThyroSafe, used by Homeland Security to protect yourself during any radiological event. Hand crank shortwave AM/FM radios. Everything that we've researched and found to be the best is available at InfoWarsShop.com, and your purchase makes our InfoWar possible. We're getting prepared. Are you? InfoWarsShop.com. I've asked Mikhail Thalen, InfoWars.com, and PrisonPlanet.com writer, to do a story on this. DrudgeReport.com is linked to a CBS News story with the title, Rogue Cell Phone Towers Can Intercept Your Data, At Least One Found in Chicago. And they have the FBI quoted in here saying, we don't believe this is law enforcement. Quote, I doubt they are installed by law enforcement as they require a warrant to intercept conversations or data. And since the cell providers are ordered by the court to cooperate with the intercept, there really would be no need for this, Rice said. That's CBS 2 security analyst Rose Rice, a former CIA agent, former FBI agent, said it's likely being used illegally. I'm going to read that again. CBS 2 security analyst Ross Rice, a former FBI agent, said it's likely being used illegally. Quote, I doubt that they are installed by law enforcement as they require a warrant to intercept conversations or data, and since the cell providers are ordered by the court to cooperate with the intercept, there really would be no need for this, Rice said. Most likely they are installed and operated by hackers trying to steal personal identification passwords. Les Goldsmith, of CEO of ESD America, which makes secure cell phones, said law enforcement with a warrant can use interceptor devices if they need information in real time or if they don't want a cellular network to know that they are being tracked. The devices don't look like a tower, but are rather electronic boxes and laptops that trick a regular phone that isn't part of the actual cellular network. How did ESD customers discover the interceptor devices? ESD American Cell Phone protects users, and it goes on to basically be an infomercial for this company. Let's stop right there. Let's just stop right there. This is so frustrating because I could barely read that article because so much stuff was coming up in my mind as I read it because I know all the answers. Only because I'm focused on this. I'm not bragging. It's just I absolutely know what's going on from A to Z with this. And either that FBI agent, that former FBI agent, is either completely ignorant or was an FBI agent 10, 15 years ago, because it's all open source known what's going on. Would everyone like me to tell you what's going on? We had a leaker inside, known to us, inside the Seattle government. I'll just say that. I won't say it was state or city, but out of Seattle, that sent us the secret diagrams earlier this year, in January, of the new cell towers. They don't look like cell towers, but cell boxes, hidden inside transformers, you name it, with cameras, microphones, but most importantly, their own cell system to grab everything. And it wires through the Threat Fusion Center with the local police and Homeland Security. Now, I'm going to explain something. Since at least 1998, this has been in place in Austin, Texas. Microphones hidden, you name it. After I exposed it, it was on the front page of the paper in 1998. Chicago's got it. New York, Boston. They've spent over $5 billion in Boston alone, more than even New York. I don't know why, since the 90s, putting these babies in. In one federal grant for Boston, it was like 6-7 years ago, it was $2 billion in microphones and cameras and illegal cell towers. It is illegal. So you got some former FBI agent going, oh, we wouldn't do that. That's illegal. Give me a break. Now, does that mean there aren't hackers putting up their own fake stuff and their own wireless networks grabbing the data? Absolutely, that's going on. Does that mean there aren't criminals and corporations and foreign governments doing it? No, there's a bunch of people doing it. It is a free-for-all. When you put your stuff on the cloud, when you use a cell phone, you might as well be standing on the top of a roof screaming everything out at a sports stadium with a bullhorn. With voice print, everything, okay? It's all being listened to. It's all designed to be as easily grabbed as possible because they don't want to have to break encryption. The only encryption and algorithm is to crunch the data. And they've all got the keys to that. The keys are public. The globalists have put the keys out. They want Pandora's box to be so wide open and surveillance to be so ubiquitous that by the time it's announced to the slaves, it'll be too late. Now, when we come back, I'm going to finish breaking this down. But Mikhail Thalen wrote 2 articles about it. It just makes me want to throw up. Gee, what are all these cell towers grabbing them? That's illegal. It can't be the government. Yes, 98% of it is the degenerate government. I tell you, it is epic to be informed and very frustrating to see a former FBI agent in CBS television, there's a video report as well, going, oh, I'd be very surprised if this was law enforcement. We don't do things like secretly grab data illegally. We get warrants. That's like saying that sailors don't sail on ships. I mean, it's just the way they talk to the public, like, oh, there's no world government being formed. Oh, no, no, no. There's nothing bad in the vaccines. No, no, no. GMO is very good for you. And Roundup in the water supply, why, you could bathe in it and then get breast cancer and testicular cancer. And the public for so long has just gone, oh, everything's fine? Now, people on average do not believe everything's fine. But we're told that we're all being spied on because of Al-Qaeda when our own government's been arming them all over the world. And there's an article up on Infowars.com, the Obama administration policies that jihadists are using to legally immigrate to America. Did you know that one of the Americans that was recently killed fighting for ISIS once cleaned planes at Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport? And the article links to the documents. Did you know they just got 11 large wide-body passenger jets at the Tripoli airport, and now the planes have disappeared? I'm going to say that again. When our government was funding and beefing up Al-Qaeda in Iraq and Al-Qaeda in Syria, that's what they called themselves, and the Al-Nusra brigades and all of them, they wave black flags that are the symbol of Wahhabism with Wahhabist slogans. Do you understand? This is Al-Qaeda. This is Al-Qaeda's daddy, not its baby. And they're real, and there's hundreds of thousands of them, and it was in the British newspapers on Monday, and we covered it here, that the British government's going to re-educate the jihadis when they come back. That's right. British citizens are allowed to board planes, give money, go fight for ISIS, chop Christian heads off, and then come back, and then they get given a course. You know, like if you beat your wife, you go to a course 4 or 5 times, or if you get caught drinking and driving. It's the same thing. They're going to get a social worker course. And then this article breaks down the open border policies that let these guys come in and out of the country in a survey conducted by Pew Research, the Wall Street Journal, and the information released the Minneapolis newspaper. I'm here looking at the sources. This is just Daily Caller, WorldNet Daily. The Minneapolis St. Paul paper. It makes me want to throw up that our border is wide open and they have got government-financed cell phone towers up all over the place, illegally grabbing all of our data, running it through. And the argument by Homeland Security, when you read the congressional funding 2 years ago to put in the next wave of this stuff nationwide, in every city and town, government boxes that set up on top power transformers. In fact, we'll show TV viewers. Let's put Mikhail Thalen's articles up on screen from November of last year and January of this year. Exclusive government documents reveals DHS domestic spy takeover. New mesh network documents confirm police vehicles, real-time access to DHS spy cameras, cell phone data, everything. It is real-time to be given to the police once they sell it to the public at the Threat Fusion Center level and beyond, grabbing all data, public and private, and running it through into consoles in the police cars, and then headset helmets and Google glasses. And it breaks down the whole thing, being beta tested in Austin, Texas, Seattle, Washington, Chicago, Illinois, Boston, Massachusetts, New York, New York, Miami, Florida, Los Angeles, San Francisco. I mean, we have all the documents. We know exactly what these mystery boxes are. We know who's grabbing the cell phone data. We know why it's causing all the drop calls. We have people inside, okay, who run the things in major cities telling us exactly what's going on. I've had to put reporters on airplanes to fly and meet with these people. We know, okay? They've got laser cuplink systems in major cities where they shoot basically white light invisible lasers. You can't even see them during the day to your window, and they can listen to everything going on in your house. They can shoot it at a paper bag in your front yard and then bounce the sound waves off the window, off the paper bag, and then technically say they're not aiming it at your window and even get around having a warrant. But forget that. Parallel construction. Parallel construction is what I told you about years ago. I was told by insiders over a decade ago that, listen, every major agency has access to everything lifetime. They don't give it to junior and mid-level people because they might blow the whistle on how illegal it is. But it's a giant criminal revolution against our privacy and our freedom, not for our security, but for a domestic takeover by globalists with the inside info. There it is. MIT develops tech to record conversations using inanimate objects, including a paper bag in your yard, including leaves. These algorithms are so powerful, folks, that leaves in a tree are picking up sound waves through your window, so they just aim the laser at the leaf. And then the computer dials in till it picks up what you're saying and doing, right out of the Joker Batman movie, where we're only going to use the sonar on these cell phones one time to tune it to the voice of the Joker and find him. They actually have that. 20 years ago, they had infrared satellites where they would pick up the signature of your shoulders, the top of your head, and track everywhere you went. They already have this worldwide, folks. They could control the borders. They could control everything. They don't want to. It's all completely illegal. And so imagine, people are noticing these weird cell boxes and these things grabbing their data, and they're wondering who's breaking into their computers. It's come out the FBI has put out almost every major virus worm that's infected, in some cases, hundreds of millions of computers to, quote, find one bad guy. We were just infecting, hundreds of millions of computers to catch one bad guy, and we finally caught him 3 years later with the technology, knowing he'd open it someday. No, they attacked all the networks, they stole the data, and then gave you some story how they, it's ridiculous. Meanwhile, Our government is funding IS to murder over 200,000 Christians, chopping their heads off, murdering little children, over 100,000 non-radical Muslims, 300,000, look it up, conservative number, in Syria. I'm going to say it again. The people that run our government want jihadis chopping Christians' heads off. Are these good people? This grid is not to keep you safe. You can dress up like Osama bin Laden and walk across the border all day long right in front of military bases. Why do I know? We've now done it. Video's coming. You can dress up like Al-Qaeda, run around chopping heads off in front of military bases and nothing happens. Simulated head choppings, nothing happens. That's how open it is. You can run around with ISIS flags on the border, nothing happens in America. But let me tell you, folks, they listen to everything I do. They track everything I do, and they can plant anything they wanted on me at any time, and you too. And that's how they control Congress, by the way, and that's how they control the Pentagon. I saw an article a few years ago where they came into work one day at the Pentagon, and over 10,000 computers had child porn on them. And they came into everybody and said, you're under investigation now. Better do what you're told. You understand how this system works? This is pure evil, and it only gets worse. Yep, 2010. So listen to this article again. Why there's these cell towers popping up, and the telecoms don't own them, and no one knows who they are. Well, find out whose property it's on. Call the landowner, then they can call the police, and they can jack into it with their forensics people. And tell you exactly whose it is. They're not, folks, because it's Homeland Security or it's the CIA or Defense Intelligence or a private group. They're just, it could be hackers or somebody else. And they're on the news going, here's the fake tower. We don't know who has it. And then let's talk to the former FBI agent. Oh, it's not the government. CBS 2. Security analyst Rose Rice, a former FBI agent, said it's likely being used illegally. I doubt that they are installed by law enforcement, as they require a warrant to intercept conversations or data. And since the cell providers are ordered by the court to cooperate with the intercept, they really wouldn't need that. No, they don't want to pay the telecoms anymore for the data. They want their own systems that they also then use as the government's own cell communication that they think is secure for them and encrypted, but then that also doubles as stealing and grabbing all of your data. Do you got what I'm saying now? Do you understand what I'm saying now? Everything they do has been war-gamed, brain-bugged, looked at, actuaried, studied to have multi-platform uses. But at the bottom of the rabbit hole, they want to know what everybody's doing to dump it into algorithms to know the future development of desires, where populations are going, what's going to be the next hot thing in the market, so they can steal your dreams, steal your patents, steal your ideas, and control and model the future. And when you're able to know people's dreams, you're then able to influence the dreams and add stimuli to control the herd instinct and literally enslave the mind, the group consciousness, the archetype of humanity, and destroy free will. You're able to rig the stock market. You're able to control the whole system. You're able to game every single facet of it. With this technology, they could literally empower humanity and turn humanity loose, and we, within a decade, would already be space bases, you name it. They're suppressing technology. It would be a renaissance, but they're not going to allow that. In fact, they may already have allowed it for themselves and be way more advanced than we even know. Because the open discussions are about how we're vestigial and how the elite have already moved on to the next level, and should they just exterminate us? Bill Joy's Why the Future Doesn't Need Us. We've got all the former top NSA people like William Benny and others saying, no, they're blackmailing everyone. The plan is, quote, total totalitarianism. And he is on the broadcast tomorrow, I'm told. This is the end of freedom. This is the end of free will. This is the end of having your own mind. And you look at this elite, they wage war on families, they wage war on logic, they wage war on prosperity, they wage war on health, they wage war on honor, they wage war on... You understand? It's bad people running this. They built it to control us and dominate us as an act of pure power. We are all being given the Trojan horse technology. We're all being given sub-rings of power, to use the Lord of the Rings analogy. But everyone who's been given all these little rings, when the police department and the CIA and the FBI and all of you that are being told you're doing this for good and being told you're doing this to stop bad people and being told that this is part of a greater good plan, you don't know that in the darkness, one ring was forged out of malice and hate to dominate and to bring total darkness to the world. One ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them into the darkness and bind them. The archetypal allegory of the tyranny of the New World Order, which we now learn, as all great linguists and archetypal researchers, Professor J.R.R. Tolkien was aware of the New World Order and the master plan. And he said that the system is run by dark wizards that seek to control the consciousness and souls of humanity. And they are trying to build a ring to find them, to bring them, and to bind them. When we start the next hour, I will play the 6-minute report that is one of the most powerful ever by John Bound. In fact, John Bound's been producing and board opping and helping coordinate reporters. He's done a great job all over the map, but he's so good at reports that I'm 50-50 now. I've got him just doing reports because that's really his true talent. He'll also be doing some directing and coming up with programs and things that we're going to be investigating and other things. But we've got John Bound's report that's now up on Infowars.com coming up, dealing with the fact that there is basically an imminent American Chernobyl or imminent American Fukushima with these nuclear power plants that are built on the fault lines. And I'm going to tweet that video out as well at Real Alex Jones, and I'm going to get it posted to our Facebook. In fact, guys, I had the print off of the video earlier with the actual title of it. Can I have that again? I don't see that here or see that in my list. So I want to be able to announce the name of that so people know how to find that when I give it to the guys. Thank you. But it is so frustrating to have the system talk to us like children and have the FBI go, oh, we don't know what these towers are popping up. Ladies and gentlemen, it came out 3 years after we first broke it and Drudge carried our story. We just went to the federal purchase orders and the federal grant that they put up thousands more microphones in Chicago in the street lamps. And then earlier this year, they announced on local TV news that, yes, there are new sculptures in town that have terrorism and crisis monitoring equipment that happens to have audio. So they didn't say, we're listening to you. They said, oh, we have something to detect terrorists and that helps people during crises. It's audio. It records. Oh, well, it's audio. Okay. Oh, okay, great. It'd be like going to somebody's door and saying, hey, you mind if I come in and put a microphone in your house just to listen to you? They would say, get off my porch before I punch you in the nose. But see, your cable boxes, your computers, they're all already listening to you. Patented, on record for a decade. Smart meters, all of it. You got boxes in your car, getting ready to tax you by the mile. It's already been put in. It's already been Trojan horse. It's already been set up. Premeditatedly, illegally, a mass rollout while they deny and talk to you like your children.
The
globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. The key is to be aware of this attack and to fight back against it. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula, sourced from powerful organic herbs, harvested around the planet, and then concentrated for maximum potency. I've always believed in nutrition and herbs. Super male vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super male vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your super male vitality and other powerful products from InfoWars Life.